All right, it looks like it is 7 o'clock. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call attendance, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Present, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mott.
President, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayre. Councilmember McKnight.
Present, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Present, Courtney Johnson. All right, welcome everyone, and thank you for tuning into tonight's meeting. We value our residents and community members, and we want to make sure that anyone who wants to participate and give input can do so. This meeting is available live via the city's website by clicking on the video link under upcoming meetings on the homepage at cityofcarver.com, or you can join remotely via Zoom conferencing services and provide input. Information related to joining the Zoom conferencing services can be found on the city's website or attached to the agenda for this meeting. We ask that anyone wishing to address the council wait to be recognized by the mayor, be respectful, wait for your turn to speak, and don't speak over one another. Callers and those participating in the Zoom will still need to provide their names and addresses for the record. All right, with that, can I get a motion to approve the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilmember Henry and a second by Councilmember Mock. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mott.
Aye, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayre.
Aye, Lori Sayre.
Councilmember McKnight.
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes. Moving on to item number 4, community comment. So it looks like we do have some folks at the meeting, but I think you guys may all be here to talk about items that are on the agenda. If that's not the case and you want to talk about anything else, now would be the time and you're welcome to do so. But wave your hand ferociously if you want to speak right now. All right. Everybody stay still, stay really, really still. Okay, with that we'll move on. There are no presentations and reports, no public hearings. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Councilmember Henry. Councilmember McKnight, did you want a second?
Second, sir.
All right, motion by Councilmember Henry, a second by Councilmember McKnight. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mott.
Aye, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayre.
Aye, Lori Sayre.
Councilmember McKnight.
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes 5-0. All right, moving on, other business. We have some new liquor license applications. Ms. Sanzeiden.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First application this evening is from Neil Kettler and Jody Hess. They are the new owners of Carver Liquor. They have submitted an application for the off-sale intoxicating liquor license for Carver Liquor, Inc. This type of license requires a background check, and one has been completed with no reasons found to deny the license. Therefore, the next step in the process is for the City Council to approve this license. After that, all required documentation is identified in the council packet, will be sent to the state's Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division for their final approval. I would be happy to answer any questions, and the applicants are also with us this evening if you have any questions for them.
Go ahead, Lori.
I do have some questions. And welcome to Carver. I'm not familiar with your backgrounds, but great to see us a downtown business. Keep going. This might be like something for Mr. Harris or Vicki. You might already know the answer, but is this license transferable within city limits if they want to move the location of their business?
I'll take that. Liquor licenses in the city of Carver are granted for a specific premises, so it is not in and of itself transferable. They don't have unilateral right to transfer the license to the location. That doesn't mean the council couldn't decide they would allow them to do it, but they can't do it on their own. They have to come back to you.
Larry, could you, I'm gonna ask if you could expand on that, Larry, just one piece. There's been, in the past, and the rumor mill has had where sometimes folks have been told or heard that liquor licenses, there's kind of an exclusionary factor where if you have it, and if someone else wanted to open another liquor store closer to 212, that a certain party would have first right of refusal, etc. Can you explain to the council that there's no ownership in liquor licenses, etc., and just kind of the basis for that?
And that's a really good question, Brent, because that does come up a lot. The license is a privilege granted by the city to a particular user for a particular period of time at a particular location. It affords them no rights other than that. This is a gross generalization, but as a general rule for the city the size of Carver, there are no limitations on what you can issue from off-sale liquor license. On-sale is different. So no, this would not preclude if, and I want to be careful because I've not talked to Mr. Merrick about this. I'm not feeding the rumor mill. I'm not doing anything else. But if a strip center comes in on the United parcel, the United Properties parcel, and MGM wants to go in there and they come to you and there's no gross violation, MGM is going to get an off-sale liquor license. The fact that there are other off-sale licenses afford no particular proprietary rights.
Any other questions, Lori?
No?
Right. If you could keep your camera on, that would be helpful, just as we're kind of discussing things and throughout the meeting. Any other questions or anyone with a motion to approve the liquor license for Carver Liquor? So I'll make a motion to approve a liquor license for off-sale intoxicating liquor for Carver Liquor Incorporated from November 16th, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. Christy, did I hear you wanted to make the second? Okay, so we have a motion by Mayor Johnson and a second by Councilmember Mock. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Merrick, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry?
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock?
Aye, Christy Mack.
Councilmember Sayer?
Aye, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight?
Aye, Joy McKnight.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, motion passes unanimously. Jody and Neil, welcome to Carver. We're excited to have you guys. Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone.
Have a good night.
Thanks.
Rolling right along, the liquor license application for Quick Trip, Ms. Sonseiden.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. The second application we have this evening comes from Quick Trip, who has submitted an application for an off-sale 3-2 liquor license for their new location at 1700 Monroe Drive. Therefore, the next step in this process is for the City Council's approval as well. Once that happens, the required documentation as identified in the council packet would be sent to the state's Alcohol and Gambling Enforcement Division again for their final approval. I would be happy to answer any questions, and also Randy Biffles, who is the store manager at that location, is also in attendance tonight, and she is available for any additional questions.
Any questions or anyone with a motion?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
If this is for just 3.2% alcohol by volume, correct? If they wanted to sell a strong beer or a spirits of some type, would they have to come before us for a different permit?
I'll take that, Vicki. The answer to that is yes, it would require a different license. It would require an intoxicating, if they want to sell strong beer, they need an intoxicating liquor license.
Okay. Thank you, Larry. That was it.
All right, any other? Go ahead, Joy.
I apologize. I didn't catch the name of the store manager who's here, but maybe they can answer. For most Quick Trip locations, do they typically apply for a 3-2 license?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Right, that's all I had.
Lori, I think I saw you raise your hand.
Yeah, I had one question. Is there a limit on the hours that the sale of 3.2 for the liquor license off sale?
Yes, there's a limit on the hours as well.
Do you know what those are? Is anyone else in the meeting know what those are?
I believe they're the same as the bars. So Sunday's limited, a little bit different. Okay, I don't think you can buy till 10 o'clock in the morning. And I think it's till midnight. And the other days are 8 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Does that concur with what we have for any other city ordinance or?
I can take that. Those hours are set by state statute.
Okay.
Regulate those hours, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brent.
Question is finished.
Larry, it's my understanding that convenience stores can't sell strong beer and alcohol wine in Minnesota. Is that correct?
Hang on, sorry, Brent. I had to mute and unmute. You are correct. They would have to. It gets into. Here's the best way to explain it. It's why grocery stores can't sell wine in Minnesota. It's why now when you go to Target's or Costco's and you see, even though it's technically part of the store, there's a separate entrance with the liquor department. So unless they have a dual entrance facility, and you see this occasionally in a C-store where they have literally, as part of the building, but with a separate entrance, they have an intoxicating liquor store. But, and I don't want to speak for Quick Trip, but having been in a lot of Quick Trips in my life, I've never seen one set up that way. I mean, it would be a significant structural alteration from what I view a regular store to be.
All right, I'm going to make a motion to approve a new liquor license for off-sale 3.2% for Quick Trip for December 14th, 2020 to June 30th, 2021.
A second.
We have a motion by Mayor Johnson and a second by Councilmember McKnight. Any further discussion? Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Hi, Christy Mack.
Councilmember Sayer.
Hi, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
I join McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. Right. Motion passes 5-0. Welcome, Brandy, and welcome Quick Trip. We are excited to have you guys. Have a good night. All right, 8.3, the purchasing policy amendments. Mr. Merrick.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Last time the City Council adopted revisions to the purchasing policy was in 2017. The policy is designed to outline processes for purchasing, set financial thresholds for approval, define conflict of interest standards, to manage other miscellaneous aspects related to the city's purchasing. The proposed amendments primarily include a grants review section, which was recommended by Steve McDonald during one of our monthly finance meetings. It also gave us an opportunity to just update it based on state statute. The bidding requirement for projects increased from 100,000 to 175,000 a couple of years ago. The policy has been reviewed by the city attorney and Steve McDonald with EBDO. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. There's a red line version of the document in your packet for all the changes that were made.
Any questions, Council? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve amendments to the purchasing policy as presented.
I'll
I
second.
will second.
I'm going to give that one to Lori. So we have a motion by Councilmember McKnight and a second by Councilmember Sayer. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Hi, Christy Mack.
Councilmember Sayer.
Hi, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
I join McKnight.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. Motion passes unanimously. All right, circling back on the Recreation Services MOU. I feel like we're kind of halfway wrapping up that discussion, but I want to make sure that we give enough room to wrap it up appropriately and make sure that we're in a good place before we move forward with that.
I just wanted to make my final comments then, that I hope we can encourage them through meeting with our Parks Commission, or with staff, however it turns out, to have at least a handful of events that happen in Carver, and maybe a couple outside of what we have seen, or I should say along with what we have seen. I talked about the yoga in the park one. It's an easy one for me to talk about. It was very well attended on a 95-degree day where I stood in my window in my air conditioning, watched them have a great time. It was very hot out. I wasn't going. But things like that, I think, it was really fun to see people utilizing it here in our own city as well. And if we are going to be paying an increased dollar amount of $15,000 a year towards that, I think it's important that we do have some offerings here and that we keep up on that with them. So at that, I'll say, Brent, and I think you said Brenda Good helped you out, but thanks for working on that contract, because I know it was a lot higher to start with. But all the rest of my comments, I won't reiterate. We heard them all in the work session. So make sure that that's something we keep an eye on. That'd be great.
So Brent, can you just kind of go over, because the way that I understand this, and just, I think so that we're clear and that we're all understanding this, I think that all of those columns, the facility reciprocity, the program reciprocity, and the staff time are actual charges, probably based on 2019 numbers. So when you're saying, Christy, the extra $15,000, they haven't jacked up the prices. That's the value that the city of Carver is subsidizing. And by going into this agreement, that's what we're agreeing to do. Am I correct, Brent?
Yes, the program and the facilities are based on usage. The $1,600 for staff time is representative of the time that they have to coordinate the open gyms, the yoga in the park, etc. The kind of the decision point is the change in methodology, where there'll be some years COVID related, except would be a great example of where they're probably going to be lower. I don't think anyone really knows what recreation is going to look like going forward, and I think that in my opinion, at least, that this model prevents the city from being subject to a wild increase should it become extremely popular. That was a choice that we made kind of internally, that we didn't want to true up every year, where we could have we could very well have a $10,000 decrease one year and a $25,000 increase the next. So felt like this would be a more stable year-to-year function, but I acknowledge there's other ways that it could be looked at.
Thank you.
Well, Courtney, I was just going to respond to
Yep.
you. I do understand the methodology and why,
Okay.
when it's broken out and that they did that, but I also want to be cognizant of the fact that they're receiving a revenue stream from everyone who signs up outside of just this agreement also. So it's not that, we're paying this and people are going for free. They are receiving plenty of revenue outside of this agreement as well. So I just have an expectation
Right.
that if they're going to be receiving that kind of revenue from us the way it is, and then we're going to be raising our prices from what by a decent jump from the year before, that we're just cognizant of what we're getting back from them, and that we work with them on that.
Yeah. No, I hear you. That's not anything new, however. They've always, if I want to attend a yoga class, I've always still had to pay for that. The benefit is for the city of Carver residents is we kind of have, for all intents and purposes, our own remote community center and are able to use that with the same benefits as anyone who has Chaska on their driver's license.
Yep.
So I want to just be careful that we're not weaving a narrative of, that $15,000 isn't just a jack up in price, that actually is representative of the usage of our residents.
Yeah, I understand the agreement. I've looked at it for many years. So just as, like I said, I've already said, as long as we can work with them on what we have, what our offerings are actually here in Carver. So.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Does anyone else have anything else they want to add or questions about the recreation? So thumbs up from you, Glenn. Okay. Thumbs up from Joy. Lori? Thumbs up. Okay. All right. I think we are good on that. Moving on to communications. Glenn, do you want to go first?
Certainly, we didn't have a planning commission meeting this month, but I would like to say that this weekend is the opening of deer hunting season in Minnesota. And there will be people running around in Orange, down in the river bottoms, below the bluffs, and all the way out on Carver Road 50. So please, if you are going to participate in just hiking down in the state, in the Fish and Wildlife area, please wear something that somebody will be able to see other than brown and white. Thank you very much. Be careful and have yourselves a great week.
All right. Thank you, Glenn. Joy?
I know, I think Courtney talked about the annual mayor's luncheon that's coming up. I did reach out to Darren Noble because I thought there was going to be a virtual option to be able to participate to that. He did get back to me today and said that they're actually unfortunately going to change it to all virtual. So if you see the next Southwest Chamber communication, you see a link to register. Anybody can register. It's free. You'll get a Zoom link if you want to just watch and listen, which is something that I wanted to do. So I wanted to pass that along to the rest of the council and staff if you're interested. Earlier this week, the city received our signs for Green Step Cities. Those will be going up. I don't know if they're up yet. I don't get out much, Brent or Chad, if they have been installed yet, but they'll be going up on, I believe, on our population signs. So that's exciting. And then finally, everybody please vote tomorrow. Polls open at the City Hall at 7 a.m., close at 8 p.m. That's it.
Thank you, Joy. Christy?
Thanks, Joy. That leads right into my question. So when it comes to voting tomorrow, how many people are going to be allowed in the hall to vote at one time?
The way that we have it managed, because we have to allow for the social distancing, we will have about 14 voting booths, and we have about 4 spots to check people in, and one place to pick up their ballot, and then one place, there's a few spots for them to wait in line to actually insert their ballot in the tabulator. So it'll be regulated by social distancing and how many people we can have in there at any given time.
Okay, because there's a rumor going around that you're only allowing 4 people in there at one time. So
I'm not sure where the rumor is coming from.
Right, but I want to make that's not true.
No.
Okay. I think that was at the county government center for the early voting. I think that was it.
Well, I just heard it today, someone asking about Carver City Hall.
Yeah, and I think somebody said, well, that's what they had at the Carver County Government Center. Okay. So different setup, different building, different deal. Thank you, Vicki.
14 voting
booths.
Councilmember Mock, I did respond to a question similar to that earlier today on Facebook, and so that message is out there for folks. So,
okay, good, because that was then my next question is, if we don't have that many people, what happens if we go past it's 8 o'clock, right?
As long as people are in line to vote, they can still vote. At 8 o'clock, we basically mark the end of the line. So if a person is in line to vote, they are still allowed to vote. Unfortunately, if they come at 8:10 and they're not in line already, we cannot allow them to vote. That is, okay. Yeah.
Perfect. My other question is for Aaron. We had talked about looking into seeing if we could still get grants for the historical kiosks in town. Have you looked into the State Historical Society if they were offering those or not?
Yeah, I emailed Michael Coop with the state office, and he said not at this time, but he'll keep us in the loop if funding's available for them.
Okay, So they're not offering whatever that grant was at all? Okay.
But that's what it sounded like. I can dig in a little bit deeper. He just said it wasn't available right now.
Okay, well, and you mentioned it was for this specific project?
Yeah.
That's good enough then. That's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Christy. Lori?
Thank you, Councilmember McKnight, about the reminder on the voting tomorrow, and just like to say in advance, thank you to the staff that's getting things set up. I know it's an extra workload, and especially thank you to our election judges.
Thank you, Lori. Let's see, just a few updates from me since our last meeting. Brent and I met with Charlie and Patricia from Metro Cities. So it's always good. Last year they came out here. This year it was virtual, of course. But it's always good to kind of connect with them and tell them about what's going on in Carver, and then hearing about what Metro Cities is doing and how we can work together and just be up to date and continue to have a good partnership with that group. We all know there was a fire at Carver Crossing last Thursday, and while it's not awesome, and some folks are probably still not sleeping in their own beds and in their units in Carver Crossing, it could have been so much worse. So thanks to the Red Cross, Red Bench Bakery, Carver Elementary, that turned on a dime and let the folks who were displaced and had to leave their homes at 3 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon, and gave them a warm place to hang out and play games with their kids and just feel comfortable. And then the Sheriff's Department, and of course, the Carver Fire Department. So this is why we make all these investments and with all the budget stuff that we're doing, so that we can be ready and prepared and well-trained, and just really thankful and proud of all the folks who helped out with that. Let's see. We also had our first 8-inch snowfall of the year since we last met on October 20th, and I think although I've received a little bit of feedback from residents, the city did a really good job, and I'm hearing overall really good feedback. So thank you, Chad, to your team for taking care of that, as always. And then I will just continue to reiterate everybody, Joy and everybody else who has talked about voting tomorrow. Please, 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 if you haven't done it already, vote. From what we're hearing, you might want to bring a book because you might be in line for a little bit, but the weather is supposed to be terrific, so there could be worse years that you've got to wait in line outside. So please, please, please come and vote. With that, Mr. Merrick, do you have any updates?
Yeah, I just have a couple of items I wanted to update the council on that were kind of remnants from the work session. One being, I had mentioned to the council in an update about just kind of looking at a new approach for the Heritage Preservation Commission, and had met with Aaron Smith and Jessica Archer regarding that. For many years, the HPC has kind of operated what I would, in my opinion, differently than the Parks Commission and Planning Commission. And I don't feel like we're not intentionally through any staff efforts, but I don't think we're giving them the same support. And I think as a result, we might be having some meeting process issues and just kind of consistency pieces. And so I asked Erin to kind of speak to the council a little bit about some concepts and some broad strokes of what she and Jessica are considering, and then kind of have the council give some opportunity to comment, because the HPC has been operating in one way for a long time, and this isn't in any way saying that anybody on the HPC is doing anything wrong. It's about a consistency and efficiency piece on how people, or what people can expect when they go through a city process, and we want that to be consistent no matter what commission that someone's making an application to. So with that, Erin, could you speak to the council?
Sure. So there are a couple things that we are going to start implementing over the next couple meetings for the HPC. One of the biggest ones is we're going to provide staff information a little bit differently. So the Parks Commission, Planning Commission, City Council, a lot of our messaging looks pretty similar, where HPC doesn't have quite as much robust staff report information. So we are going to align HPC staff reports closer to what we do for Council, Planning Commission, and Parks. And then we also are digging in a little bit to the city ordinance that establishes the HPC and essentially how it works. We had a situation this summer where someone did a project without getting approval from the HPC, and we need to have a pretty solid process of what we do when that happens. Granted, if it's an emergency situation, obviously different, but we just want to be pretty clear on the steps that people need to take. Again, consistency is a big thing, and messaging. So beefed up staff reports, we are going to include the information from the guidelines in the staff report, so it's not flipping between a staff report and then the documents that we have for the design guidelines. And then we have not been great about letting people know that there's always an appeal process to the city council. It's not something that happens very often, but if someone proposes a project, they do have the opportunity to appeal the decision to city council within 10 days of the HPC meeting. So we just want to have consistent branding, but then also messaging, both before the meeting with a prepared staff report, but then also after with how we deliver their message to say, you're set to go. If something you want to appeal, let us know. We can bring it to the city council. So just trying to clean it up a little bit, bring it more consistent with the way we run other commissions to hopefully allow for greater consistency and hopefully some really successful projects downtown.
I'm going to just comment on that, Erin. I'm really happy to see this coming up. As the liaison for the HPC, it does look very different from the rest of the commissions and the council, so I think this is going to be really helpful for our commissioners, and it's going to be very organized. It's going to look really good, and I think it's just going to make the process easy and more helpful to the people who are coming in also. So thanks for doing the work on it.
Then any other items on the HPC? I have one more item. I'm going to share my screen here. I've mentioned this, but it's not something that we typically, do. But I had mentioned previously to the council, everyone see this photo of Gazebo Park?
Yes.
So the green area that is mentioned that is shown there is owned by the Carver Liquor. Now the folks that were on the call tonight own the business, but the property and building is owned by another individual. The area shaded in green, if you were to walk across the street at City Hall, it would appear to be in the park, but it's actually not. It's part of the Carver Liquor property, but the city has landscaping in it, and this kind of, from a visual standpoint, it looks to be in the park. And we've talked to the past two owners about buying that. We haven't been able to reach a price. We use the Carver County tax value for it. They have agreed to it. We are working on a process to acquire it, and so Aaron Smith is going to be bringing the action to the Planning Commission just to confirm that it is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. Then eventually it'll make its way to the city council. The city attorney, Larry Harris, and Dan Lanis are working on agreements and legal descriptions for it. But I just wanted to kind of cue the council in on it. We don't, on a regular basis, buy land. It's a nominal amount. But I just wanted to just describe it in advance of the process kind of coming down the line. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions? No.
And then the last item, just out of and I believe everyone in the meeting knows this, but just for the sake of transparency, for folks that are heading to the polls tomorrow, unfortunately, there was an automobile accident late Friday afternoon where someone inadvertently backed into the fencing at City Hall, or it didn't back in, but the vehicle rolled into the fencing at City Hall that caused damage to two fence panels. So just wanted to be transparent that we're aware of it. We've had the fence contractor out to give us an estimate of the repair. It'll probably take several weeks, if not months, to custom-made fence for our project, so it's not something they have on the shelf. We've reported it to our insurance company, who is in communication with the driver's insurance company. Deputy Sandberg provided a report, so the process is moving forward, but for some folks, this will be their first visit to City Hall since our new building's been up, and so I did want them to think, or those to think, that somehow we've already wrecked our building in the short time that we've been in. So with that, that's all the updates I have for tonight. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Brent. So I just have one more quick update that I forgot to mention. Last Tuesday night, I had what we called the meeting of the chairs with the chairs of the Parks, Planning Commissions, and HPC, where we just kind of went through running a meeting, dealing with Zoom shortcuts, how do you handle public comment and feedback, and really just kind of a time for them to ask questions, for us to bounce ideas off of each other as a group. So thanks to Erin for her help kind of herding the cats for that one. Appreciate it. So with that, if nobody else has anything else to add or any other updates, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A motion by Councilmember Henry.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Sayre. Any further discussion? All right, Mr. Mayor, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Henry.
Aye, Glenn Henry.
Councilmember Mock.
Hi, Christy Mock.
Councilmember Sayre.
Aye, Lori Sayer.
Councilmember McKnight.
Hi, Joy McKnight.
And Mayor Johnson.
Aye, Courtney Johnson. All right, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.